Crown Chats. I am so excited to welcome today's guest. He toured on the Broadway tour of Hamilton for over 5 years. He is a beloved entertainer with the megawatt smile and was recently the fan favorite runner-up on a specific holiday competition reality show. Please welcome triple threat Elijah Malcomb.
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me. So happy to be here and to be able to sit down and talk to you and spend some time.
Yes, well, Crown Chats is super excited to have you. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. So let's start from the beginning. What is it that made you want to be an entertainer, and what eventually led you to the stage?
Yeah, so as a kid, I kind of always had this energy that neither myself or my mom or anybody really knew what to do with. And I always found myself singing. Like it was my go-to pastime as a kid. My sisters would tell me that I can't sing, so obviously I'm the youngest, so I would sing more. And it was just something that I loved to do. And going to college was always something that was like very, very important in my household growing up. But I knew from a young age that I wanted to perform. And so my mom was, luckily very supportive of me chasing that dream and supportive of me going to college, going to AMDA, which is this little alumni shirt here. And really getting the training that I needed. And while I was in college, that was where I really discovered just how much theater that I had already been introduced to through movies, because, growing up, it's just like, oh, it's a movie, like, and they're singing, great. But then I realized, just how much theater I had been introduced to and got firsthand experience of what the work looks like, and kind of fell in love with that process. And so it just kind of opened up another avenue for me to pursue this thing that I love, because I knew that I wanted to act. I knew that I wanted to sing. But I didn't know that theater was an avenue that I would be excited about exploring until after I went to college.
So, life on a Broadway tour, touring for 5 years with Hamilton had to be insane. How did you manage a work-life balance, and what is the daily or weekly schedule with that like?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So the tour schedule in particular for a Broadway show is very rigorous, because like any other show, we do 8 shows a week. However, the difference between tour and Broadway is most Broadway productions do a matinee on either Wednesday or Thursday. So they do 2 shows on either Wednesday or Thursday, 2 on Saturday, and then 1 matinee on Sunday. So they get a longer like break window. Whereas on tour, we do 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday, and then we're off Monday and back at it again Tuesday night. So our break window is a little smaller, and we do 4 shows in the span of 48 hours. And so like by the end of the week, you're everybody in the building is a little loopy. And so me and a bunch of my friends on tour, when we were all on tour together, started doing this thing called Ginseng Sundays, where we would just take these like tubes of ginseng to just kind of help get us through that last show of the week. And it's brutal, but it's one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done. And it's a lot of work outside of the building, because you have to maintain your instrument, so making sure you're drinking enough water throughout the day, getting enough rest. Oftentimes if you have the energy, it's good to go to the gym and just kind of get the blood pumping and flowing. And then making time to like see the cities that you're in, and spend time with friends and family, whether they're in town for a short period or on the phone or something like that. It's definitely a challenge. We were lucky enough to sit down in cities for a couple weeks at a time, where a lot of shows are like go 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 go. They're there for like a night, maybe 2. And so the travel of it can get really tiring. Because I think the shortest stint that we ever did was like 2 weeks. which meant really we only got like one day off to rest because that next Monday was a travel day. So like you're resting, but it's hard to really get the rest you need on a plane or a bus or something like that. So definitely like making sure you're warming up and cooling down, drinking lots of tea to make sure everything is lubricated and working in the way that it needs to so you don't injure yourself, is a huge piece of maintaining yourself and the show. There was a point while I was on tour that I actually got like pre-nodes from overuse because I was singing, my track had me singing at the top of my register for, most of the show. And it was the first time that I had ever done 8 shows a week. So it was very interesting to see like everything that I had learned in college, like carry over professionally. So I'm very happy that I went to college and got that training and had that experience because I knew what to do and how to navigate those things. And, luckily with a big production, there's enough people that you can kind of take the time off that you need to recuperate. And I went and saw like a speech therapist and just really started working my instrument a little differently. And so everything was good. Luckily, I caught it before it went to anything that required surgery. But yeah, it was definitely a lot to process and a lot to manage while I was on tour.
So you go from starring on a Broadway tour for 5 years to then finding yourself on a holiday competition reality show. How does that opportunity come about?
So interestingly enough, my manager at the time was best friends with Lindsay, the casting director. And she just randomly, Lindsay, came across my Instagram profile through hashtags, I guess, saw that my manager at the time was her best friend and reached out and was like, hey, would he be interested? And I was like, absolutely, like 1000%. I'm totally on board for this. Reality TV is a little bit of a guilty pleasure for me. And, I've secretly like always dreamed of going on a reality TV show, but knew that it would have to be the right show because I don't want anything that's like toxic or chaotic or going to paint anybody in a really negative light. So when this opportunity presented itself, I was ready to jump in both feet.
So in your experience on the show, I guess this is kind of a 2-part question. What was it on the show that you felt was much easier than you anticipated, and what ended up being more challenging than you initially thought?
I think what was easier than I initially thought it was going to be was how well all of the guys got along. I initially expected somebody to just be like a jerkosaurus, but nobody really was. Like we were all really rooting for each other, and just it really felt like I was on vacation with guys that I had known for 10 years. And at the end of the day, we were competing with each other, but we were also rooting each other on. And so it created this atmosphere of like healthy competition where really, like, yes, you're competing with them, but really you're competing with yourself to do better than you did the last time, to do the best that you could every day with what you had that day. And so to like be in that environment, especially for it being a reality show, really kind of set the tone and like took a lot of the anxiety away. Cause like day one, I didn't know what to expect. And I was like, I don't know what we're getting into. Cause, the network was very, very hush hush about like what this was and what it was going to look like. So none of us really knew until we got there. And then like, around maybe episode 2 or 3, I think we started to like get our flow and really get comfortable. So I think that was the most surprising. The hardest part, I think would have to be, it was just taking the knowledge from each day and like applying it to the next day. It was challenging because we did so much in a day, and I wanted to really like, at the end of the day, I would sit and really try to absorb, okay, what did I do well today? What could I have improved on? And where did I miss the mark, you know? And through doing that process, I was able to see, okay, I didn't really listen or pay attention to what this particular challenge was asking of me. And that was fun, but it was also like challenging because it meant like shutting down my nervous system and like not getting in my own way of like overthinking things and really just allowing myself to be present, and to really listen and focus in. Um, Especially in a setting like that where like it was my, well, one of the few times that I've been on like a really really big film production set like that. And so with the extra added caveat of you know, coming from Hamilton, I add a lot of pressure on myself because I feel like when people hear Hamilton, they expect a certain like caliber. And so just kind of letting that go so I could be more free and be more present in the moment, was definitely a learning curve. And also learning to calibrate exactly how much I needed to do, because in theater, you have to play to the back of the house. Whereas on film and TV, you have to keep that same intensity, but not do as much. Otherwise, it just looks kind of crazy on camera. And like, as you can see, just sitting here having a conversation, like I'm an active animated person. I talk with my hands frequently. So that was probably the two toughest things, in that I learned in that experience.
So during the time on the show, you were very open and excited about the fact that you and your girlfriend Ashley were expecting a baby girl. Since the show has aired, you are now a father. Tell us how those first few months of parenthood are going.
Oh, it's been fantastic. I I fall more in love with my daughter every day. Like she cracks me up. The other day she was sitting with her grandmother, and her grandmother was just kind of like playing with the cat around the house, and she let out this huge giggle that just warmed my heart. And like, she hadn't laughed that hard or that like big ever. Like that was really the first time that I had heard it. So it just made my entire day. And there's always little moments like that. And now she started to eat solids, and she's very particular about vegetables. And it's so funny to watch somebody who's, you know, not even a year old yet be that particular, and have that much of an opinion about it. You know, it's just very interesting. I'm learning something every day about her. And, you know, it's helped Ashley and I like really grow closer together, because, you know, we really have to like depend on each other in order to make this family unit work. And it's just a whole different experience than what we've had before. And it's challenging, but it's also exciting. And extremely rewarding when I see the smile on my daughter's face every day. So it's there's nothing like it that I've ever done, or I think that really you could ever do in life. And it's just a new journey and a new experience to explore every day, and I'm loving the ride.
And that brings us to the next segment, which I call a little crown to crown, which is simply a rapid fire response. I'm going to give you a few questions, and you're going to tell me the first answer that comes to mind.
Great.
The first one, on stage or on screen?
Ooh. That's hard. I can't pick, really. I don't feel like I've had enough experience on screen to like really have an opinion. But from what I've heard, the experience that you get from theater with like the energy exchange of a live audience is something that like can't really compete. So for now, I think I'd have to go there. Although I see myself more in like on screen, but I do think I will miss that exchange. So I don't ever see myself not doing one or the other.
Favorite song or lullaby to sing to your daughter?
Oh man, that changes every day. So her favorite song right now is "Never Gonna Not Dance Again" by Pink. And that's been her favorite song since like day one. She's explored other songs now, but I love to sing "You'll Be in My Heart" by Phil Collins to her. That it's she just kind of stops and stares at me. It makes me so happy.
If you get to star in a holiday movie in the near future, who would your dream co-star be?
I think somebody like Ryan Destiny. She is just like, or like a Coco Jones. They're just so talented, and they are great at what they do. And like sing and act, and I feel like we would get along very well. And they're just really, really strong actresses that I think I would mesh really, really well with.
If you could star in any Broadway show, what would it be?
Lion King. Lion King, hands down. Simba is my spirit animal.
We're manifesting it right now. Okay.
Yes, please.
And lastly, a favorite charity or organization to give a shout out to.
I have it linked on my Instagram page, but I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But it's a charity to basically help people affected by wildfires in California. That's very near and dear to my heart because that's where I'm from originally, and I know I have a lot of friends who had to evacuate, and like these people are like losing their family homes, and that's something that I couldn't even imagine because there's pictures and photos and videos and all kind of things that are, really important to people, that are just gone forever. So if I could help restore some sense of normalcy for them, I think that would be it.
And that wraps us up. Thank you so much for joining me today. I think you have a huge fan army behind you that is with us manifesting maybe you starring in The Lion King on Broadway or maybe a TV holiday movie in the near future. Before we wrap up, can you please just let everybody know where they can find and follow you to keep up with all things Elijah?
Yeah, you can find me usually on Instagram at Eli Music One. I'm also on TikTok at Eli the Malcomb. I'm not on there as much. Instagram is kind of like my main social media. But yeah, those two, or Twitter at Eli Music 01 because Eli Music One was already taken.
And that wraps up another episode of Crown Chats. Thank you so much for joining me again. We have so many exciting guests coming in the next few weeks, and you don't want to miss out on all the fun. So be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel and follow me, Haley, or at Crown the Halls on Instagram. And until next time, wear your crown. Your crown may tilt, but may it never fall. But you are beautiful and you are strong.